it's really important for us to hear what Luxon says and remember what has been said in the past. Here's the first thing about outside groups. They're going to bring in outside groups. They're not hiding it anymore. Outside groups.
Because the funding isn't in place. And so, what we're doing is having a short, sharp, surgical team come in, outside, quickly get to the problem, have an answer in May, and actually set up a way going forward so we don't have this problem dealing with this going forward. So
they're not hiding it, right? Outside groups, outsides are going to come in. But what's happening, not just with Luxon, but this language is happening with others as well, is when they start talking about, maybe this government agency, maybe this department is not the best to be in charge of the infrastructure. Yeah. This is this morning. This is on breakfast. This is talking about the schools.
Well, we have to go back to we have to go back to it and go through each of those schools and their individual cases and either rescope those projects, maybe delay some of them. But again, that's going to be our focus of as we go. As we've found this information out, we've been moving very quickly to try and get to the bottom of it. But then we've got to ask some better, longer-term questions, which is fundamentally, who actually should be running school projects and buildings? Because
who should be running school projects and buildings? Who should be doing that? Should we be getting those education experts to run the buildings, or should we get someone else?
Should be running school projects and buildings because, it is something that happens every day across New Zealand. There's always a project on the go. The question is actually, are the Ministry of Education actually the right people to do it? Or are they better to stay focused on educational policy for our kids, for example? That would be a legitimate question to be asking.
So at the moment, they're being very careful, right? They're going, we're just asking questions. We're just putting questions out there. We're just asking questions. But let me remind you of what he's just said. Like, who would be the best? This is 2 months ago, Nicola Willis talking about the ferries, okay? So her thoughts around the ferries, this is about 58 seconds, and I think we interject in this as well, Chewy, but you'll get it. Remember what Luxon's just said. Who would be the best? Maybe these guys aren't the best. Maybe there's someone better to do it. Who could that be? Could that be a partnership or full privatisation?
I have confidence that we can work together to find a way forward. I do want to get others involved in solving this problem.
Just that straight away. I was going to interrupting myself. This is like Inception. But just to say again, it's the same as what Luxon just said, outside groups. I do want to get others involved. Who are we talking about here? Who are we talking about? This is the bullshit meters going up in the back of the neck a little bit.
Kiwi Rail, by their own admission, are not marine engineers. They're not port experts. They're not experts at building wharves. So I want to make sure we have the right people involved. I also have to acknowledge that Kiwi Rail aren't always going to be best placed to work out what's best for taxpayers, for ferry passengers, for freight passengers. They're going to be the best people to work out.
They're not going to be the best at figuring that out. But this consultancy, they'll probably be much better at it.
What's best for Kiwi Rail's passengers and freight. But we need to take a look at the bigger picture and work with all of the people involved here.
So there you go. So it's the same message. Right? It's the same message coming out about infrastructure. Maybe the Ministry of Education aren't the best. Maybe Kiwi Rail aren't the best. These are just questions we need to ask. And I'll tell you the other thing that's drawing me to this, Chewy, is what the government's doing at the moment is they're going, the sky is falling. Like, just think about the language you've heard from the leadership, Luxon, Willis, Stanford, about how terrible this is. This is terrible right now. And then the whole public, all of New Zealand goes, oh, it's terrible. But they go, but don't worry, I'll feed you baby birds. We've got this group who are going to come in and solve it all for us. And we go, oh, be still my heart, because it was so bad the sky was falling, but this group who's got nothing more than altruistic intentions are going to come along and pull us from the bootstraps up, and they're going to save us. It just made me think, Chewy, I've said this before on the show, every year that we were at university, we used to get the government, the university come along saying, there's a 30% increase in fees coming next year. That's the sky is falling, yeah? And everyone would go, what? And they'd come back after a month and go, oh, look, we've worked it out. It's only a 15% increase. And a lot of people would go, oh, phew, they solved our problem. No. They still gave you a fucking 15% increase. They just told you the sky was falling. And then the solution they brought in was more, you took it on board more easily. And that's what I see this government doing. And I really think we need to highlight it. Every time you hear them say, outside. Who's the best? Not them. Got to ask these questions. We're going to look to the outside source. Are they the best for doing this? Are they the best? I find it really concerning, Chewy.
When you look overseas and you see how involved private industry is involved in supporting and providing what I would call core functions of a country.
Yeah.
We know that David Seymour loves his charter schools. Maybe they're better at doing schooling than the Ministry of Education is.
Yeah.
We can't possibly, there's no way that the Ministry of Education can approve school construction and find a construction company to do it and run it in a budget. There's just no way that they can do it. The laughable thing that Kiwi Rail, because there's rail in the name, they don't know ferries and wharfs. Yeah, but they can tender out a project. They can go to a shipping expert, as they did, to design ships that would last us decades. And as we found out, that was the big splash, right? Kiwi Rail had gone fucking bananas and ordered Ferraris when we can get a second-hand Corolla. Did anybody see the rest of that story that came out recently? There are, in the world, 22 ferries that would be suitable for New Zealand conditions.
Right.
Do you know how many of them are for sale?
I'd say none would be my guess.
None. They're all being used. So we've cancelled the ferries in the hopes that we can get a second-hand Corolla, and there fucking isn't one.